Program is rated for all audiences.
Buckeye Time is sponsored by CrookedRiverRadio.com. Crooked River Radio is an internet radio station that is live 24/7 playing top 40 hits from the 60s through the 80s. You can find us on Live 365, Simple Radio, Roku, Radio Garden, and even Alexa, as well as our website. Come on and join us on the Crooked River.
Hello and welcome to Buckeye Time. I'm Erik.
It's Buckeye Time. I'm Pat.
And today is, well, the inaugural show of Buckeye Time.
Slightly rebranded.
Yeah, as you can tell, anybody who listened to Hashtags in Football, that is no longer. Today, we are talking about. Oh, sorry. I apparently have my phone up as I'm trying to share this show on Facebook. But we are talking about optic nerve hypoplasia. Reason we are talking about that is a condition that I actually have, and there's actually, in research for the show, there's actually stuff that I've never realized that happens. And I shared this with Pat before the show, and we'll get into it after we play the videos. But that goes on throughout just anybody who is around me notices it, but I didn't notice it till earlier. But let's get into the videos. Right off the bat.
First one?
Yeah.
The what is it?
The what is it?
Okay, we'll do that. We'll be back on the other side of this. You're listening to the Buckeye Time.
Yeah.
It's gonna take a little getting used to that. You're listening to Buckeye Time on the Crooked River Radio Network. We'll be right back.
Hi guys, it's Lauren. Welcome to my channel. This is my very first sit down and chat video. I've always done just like music videos and stuff like that, just random recordings that I've done. But today I wanted to talk about something non-music related and something that might be interesting to y'all. I wrote a blog post about a day or two ago about the most common question I get when people find out that I'm visually impaired. So the title was, what is optic nerve hypoplasia? Optic nerve hypoplasia is the condition that I have, and it sounds really scary to people a lot of the times. Like, they're like, oh my god, like something is really, really wrong, and they question and they wonder. And so, yeah, here I am to explain as I did in that post. So, optic nerve hypoplasia is basically where my optic nerve was not developed properly. So it's kind of small and pale, and it doesn't really do its job correctly. And if you don't remember or you don't know what the optic nerve is, it is the nerve that sends what your eye sees to the brain. So in my case, I see everything, and then on the way to the brain, it just kind of doesn't make it. So it caused it, for me anyway, I don't know what it does to other people, but for me, it causes things to look very far away. So like, it makes things look very small and without a lot of detail. And I can't see very far away. I can't see in really a lot of detail. I don't have any peripheral vision, so I can't see out of the sides of my eyes, or like really far below or really far above. So like when people go to shake my hand, I have no idea that their hand's there because it's too far below my field of vision. So, and I run into random things and don't see people, and it's fun. And it's weird because it doesn't just it's not really tunnel vision to where I see, like, within, you know, a certain area. It kind of just fades out. Like, 1 minute it's here, and then, well, there might be a shadow of something. You know, it just kind of fades out. I'm really scatterbrained today, and I apologize. I keep, like, jumping to one thing, like, one thing from another. So I can't see a lot of detail, can't see very far, don't have any peripheral vision. I can't really see depth or distance, so, like, I can't tell how far something is. I can't really give a good guesstimate, like, oh, it's like 5-10 feet away. It kind of just, I don't know, it kind of looks all the same to me. And I can't see how deep something is. Sorry, I'm having allergy issues. I can't see how deep something is. So if I'm standing at the top of a pool and I'm looking down, like in our backyard, I can't see how deep the pool is. Or if I'm standing at the top of a staircase looking down, the staircase looks completely flat. So yeah, that's like kind of the basics of what I can and can't see, but I'll do another video on it so that there's more, like, I'll go more in depth in another video. The other thing I have as a result is called Nystagmus, and basically what it means is that because I can't see and my brain knows that I should be seeing, it causes my eyes to move back and forth really rapidly to try to find a place that, like, kind of the happy spot of where I can see. But because there really is no happy spot, my brain just constantly searches. So my eyes move back and forth really, really fast, involuntarily. I can't control it. It's just something that my brain does, and I can't really stop it. And it has its own set of challenges as well. So it causes me to not be able to focus on things, so everything just kind of looks out of focus, and it also contributes to the fact that I can't see detail. So yeah, it causes me not to be able to focus. It can contribute to depth perception issues, and it also contributes to just, like, overall out of focus. And the more I try to focus on things, like if I'm trying to look at print or try to look at a picture and I'm trying to focus in on something, my eyes will actually move faster, causing me not to focus at all, and I have to kind of take a step back and, like, almost not focus on that object in order to see it. So it's kind of weird. But those are, like, I guess, the basics of my eye conditions, and if you guys have any more questions, please feel free to comment below, or you can find my Facebook page called Tips and Tidbits for the Blind and ask questions there. So anyways, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when I post stuff. And also, I'm new to this whole thing, and I'm also visually impaired, so please tell me what I can improve. I don't have a tripod right now, and I'm filming from my iPad, so I can actually see, like, where things are. But if the camera is, like, in a weird angle, or, I don't know, something's wrong, maybe you want me to, like, actually make a script and plan it out so I'm not so scatterbrained, let me know, and I will do that for y'all. But also just keep it kind, and, there's some things that I really don't have control over, like lighting, and, like how my camera is positioned, or if I'm looking off the camera, or like in a different way. I can't really control that, so let me know what I can improve, but also keep it kind, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!
And we are back on Buckeye Time. So one thing she talked about that I didn't notice within myself, and actually Pat said he has noticed before, is the I think she called it Nystagmus. I don't think I ever was officially diagnosed with it, but I I noticed I was actually doing a preview video for the show tonight, and I noticed I had taken my glasses off to avoid glare, and I had noticed the complete rapid eye movement. And I think if anybody's ever watched um, other shows that I've done, that I've been on camera, you can also see me constantly looking off camera, whether it's because I'm doing something or just my eyes just travel so much that I I can't control it. Like they're constantly moving. Mm, See if we can get a good view. Just I'll do the show with some of the show with my glasses off and see if it's caught. But if the camera catches it, but I didn't notice it till today that my eyes constantly uncontrollably move.
What she said in the beginning, or about halfway through there, was the fact that your mind is actually always looking for something. It's looking for something to latch on to. That's how you focus. Are you?
Oh.
Boy, that's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, let's just keep going as long as we... Okay, well, as the computer decides to go wacky on us, anybody watching, just ignore the screen.
Yeah, there's nothing to see here. Just ignore the screen.
I don't... Okay, we're back, and you can actually see me. I'm not pretty colors anymore. Hopefully we didn't lose people. But hey, but what were you?
Well, what she was saying was that her eyes are constantly trying to find something because her mind is searching for
We're
it.
just gonna do this.
And
Yeah.
There's some stuff that I've had issues with my eyes here for a couple of years, and there's some stuff that I've noticed that are typical signs of cataracts, halos and that kind of stuff. So I can imagine, I can kind of relate to what you guys are going through. With me, if I look at bright lights, I see a halo around the outside of them. I'll see 2 or 3 different lights, and I'll see a halo that kind of surrounds them. And I can imagine that being you driving down the road. If I'm looking at an oncoming car, because I'm not seeing it as well as I should, especially when I wasn't wearing my glasses. It would take my eyes a couple seconds to focus, and you just can't see it. So, how are you doing that? How do you do with that, Erik? Do you have your peripheral vision, or is it all just kind of like blinders, or what?
I can see shadows peripherally, but I don't see actual
right
things.
Now, sit still for a second. Put your hands back up where they were.
Like
Put
there?
your hands straight up like that. And look at the monitor. Look straight at the monitor. Can you see your hands?
On the monitor, yes.
No, not on the monitor. Can you see them out of the corner of your eye? That's your
barely.
That's your peripheral vision.
Barely, yeah.
Okay, and what about down low? Can you see the microphone?
No.
Okay.
If I'm looking right, I know it's there, but obviously, but I don't see the microphone. No.
Okay, so what you're telling me is you have some peripheral.
Yeah.
but it's, but there's really nothing below or pretty much on top. You can't, you can't take your hair. Well, if you got hair, I don't really have much up there. You couldn't see your hair without looking for, putting your eyes up to see it.
No.
That what can
It's.
what
I've
do
had
you,
it told. I've had it told to me. Imagine, which I don't know why anybody would do this. So this analogy is kind of stupid. But imagine putting Vaseline in the center of the lens of the glasses and trying to see around it.
well, that's kind of what cataracts do too. I've been told that I look through Coke bottles. It's like looking at life through a Coke bottle, and then it's probably pretty close to right. Your vision's a. In my early years, I didn't have any trouble with vision. I didn't wear glasses till I was 27, and then it started going downhill from there. I ended up in bifocals when I was 40, and supposedly I have cataracts, which that's another thing by itself. But what my curiosity is how do you cope with some of this? I take it you can't drive or get a license.
No. And
have they ever told you what your vision is? Like 20/50, 20/80?
it's 2200.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
So, and what do you see can you see anything close up, or do you just
I can see a little bit. I can't read small print at all. I actually have to have a magnifying glass. Even when I'm at work, for my job, I have to use handheld scanner, which is almost like a phone, but unfortunately, there's no way to make the font bigger. So I have to use. It almost looks like a snow globe. A magnifying glass that looks like a snow globe, and it it magnifies things. I think it's like 10 times what they are. Just in
how do you see
10.
your phone then? I see you're on your phone a lot of time.
Oh yeah. Well, luckily with the phone, there's settings that you can find that make the font bigger and make the display bigger. So it's not that hard for phone, but for the handheld where there's no features that I know of, there's really no way to. I have to use the magnifying glass.
All right, let's slide into this next video, and it'll hopefully give us a little more to talk about here. And we're not going to cover the medical end of this all night. This show's probably going to run till 8 o'clock this evening, just for anybody that is listening. And we will cover this a little bit longer, and then we're going to go into what it's like to run an internet radio station and do a podcast. So if you're tuned in, that's what we're going to cover this evening. Let's take and go into this other video. It's actually a doctor talking about what you've got.
Yes.
You ready for that?
Yes, I am.
We'll be right back. You're listening to Buckeye Time
on Crooked River Radio Network.
So someone asked about optic nerve hypoplasia, and plasia means that it wasn't built properly, and hypo means it's too small. So it's different from aplasia, where the whole thing is missing. It's usually not aplasia. Usually there's some little remnant there. So a hypoplastic optic nerve has less axons, and it's also smaller. We can tell that it's hypoplastic and congenital because you really can't change the diameter of your optic nerve on an acquired basis. It pretty much is whatever size it is, it is. So it's usually smaller, and that smaller optic nerve we call optic nerve hypoplasia. The visual acuity in these patients is quite variable. It might be 20/20. It might be terrible. You cannot tell by looking at someone's nerve what their acuity is going to be. Likewise, their visual field is going to be quite variable, and it can be unilateral or bilateral. If it's unilateral, there's going to be an RAPD. If it's bilateral, it may or may not have an RAPD, depends on how much asymmetry you have, and you're going to do a visual field on the person to document how much deficit they have. We're going to image optic nerve hypoplasia because we're worried that there are other midline defects, and the whole syndrome is called the septo-optic dysplasia syndrome, often referred to by its eponym, the de Morsier syndrome. And we're going to be looking for midline deficits in the hypothalamic pituitary axis, absence of the septum pellucidum, and the problems in the pituitary and the hypothalamic axis are what cause the growth defects and the hormonal abnormalities that are seen in these children who have the septo-optic dysplasia syndrome. So we're going to be imaging them. We're going to be looking for the pituitary bright spot. We're going to be looking for ectopic pituitary gland or hypothalamic pituitary axis abnormalities in patients who have the optic nerve hypoplasia. They can have growth delay, and we're going to document their acuity and their visual field. It's congenital, and there's no treatment.
Wow, that says a lot.
Yeah.
Congenital, and there's no treatment for it.
They were saying at one point there was possibly a surgery. Why am I forgetting? Stem cell surgery, but that they thought would work, but it was, and I think we've talked about this on Radioactive before. It was taking cells from aborted babies, and I'm like, if I have to take cells from an aborted baby, I'm not doing that. Even though, people would be like, well, and I've had people say, it would help you though. No, that's still against my beliefs. I'm not going to take cells from an original living thing that was brutally murdered for no reason.
Well, we're not going to go into the
I know, but
those beliefs right at this point in time.
But
that's a topic for a whole
another show.
A whole nother show or shows.
But for my reason of saying that is, there at one point they were talking about the surgery that could help it, but it could also hurt it. So there's now, I don't know how old that video was that we just played, but I don't think there'll ever be anything that will help. Which, okay, I've dealt with this for 26 years, so it just sucks that I have to rely on people for the transportation thing is the biggest thing with me.
Yeah, I could imagine that's probably a large issue.
Yeah.
I'm just glad you should be glad you can work.
Oh yeah,
and actually
I am.
Support yourself. But there again, there's a whole bunch of issues there. Or not, I don't want to say issues. There's a whole bunch of the hell's the word I want?
Challenges.
Yeah, I guess challenges would work. That combine into what you've got, that make the issues how they feel to you.
And it's hard because, I mean, I'm trying to find a better paying job, but it seems like all these places, when I tell them I'm visually impaired, they don't hire me because of that.
Well, there again, this is going to open a big can of worms.
But I know
of a couple other people that that are in similar situations to that. One guy is deaf, and he can't really, he can never get anything above a dishwasher job. In fact, I think he's working as a dishwasher for somewhere now. It would be nice if if the world would accept all this stuff and give you the kind of money to live on that you should be earning and all that kind of stuff. But the world's not that. It's not that kind.
And disability is hard to get, and then there's so many, because technically you can work on disability, but there's a lot of stipulations, and you can only make a certain amount, and it's so complex that it's almost impossible. And things are so expensive nowadays. It's hard to be able to support yourself, and not having a disability than having a disability and having to pay more for transportation and stuff. And to get the local service for the disabled, bus service. It took me 4 times of applying since 2015 when I graduated high school, and it took me 4 times of applying for them to finally accept me, even though I had a legitimate reason, a legitimate disability.
I wonder how much of that's changed since the COVID situation took over. And I wonder how much of that's changed. It seems like everything did change with COVID. I don't know why.
I wonder if it did, because I got accepted around the time, COVID was a huge thing back last year. So, I mean, it was during COVID, so I wonder if
it may have had something to do with it. But yeah, the whole situation or the whole thing is, people got to work. I understand that. I wish I could do more for you and other people in particular, but unfortunately, I'm sitting here on retirement myself. There's really not a whole lot of money. We could take and go into the good and bad parts of being retired. It's nice not having to get out of bed and drive around in the snow and all that kind of crap. But on the other hand, if you aren't completely set up like you should be, you're going to have trouble paying your bills.
And it's hard. Really, it's hard to retire in this day and age because things are so expensive. People that retired.
Yeah, just like the Social Security thing. This cracks me up. They send me this thing about how, you're going to get $176 more a month, and it ends up being, what, 30 bucks. Big deal. And it's, the whole thing comes down to, at least with Social Security like that, if you make it, or if they're going to pay it out, they're going to take it back in another breath. Either your health care is going to go up, or something is going to find its way to take it, or you're going to have a lifestyle change, or you're going to change insurances, or the next thing you know, you're back where you are. They don't want anybody to survive.
I mean, nowadays, the best thing to do is start your own business, but it's so hard to do. I know someone who, unfortunately, around my age, who has the mentality of, I don't want to line the pockets like of big corporations or anybody else, you know. And he's come out and had like 3, 4 different business ideas, never followed through with them. It's like, okay, how are you gonna live? Like, you're not.
Hang on. You okay
People
over
don't
there?
forward think this day and age.
My wife dropped something. I don't know what it was.
Huh.
And she's over, oh, sorry.
No, but um, but
But we digress.
yeah, exactly. Um,
Tell you what, let's about ready to change the subject then, or
yeah, we can.
let's switch gears. Let's talk some football.
Okay.
I see the blank look on your face, Eric.
Yeah.
It's like you
we
want to
were
what? What?
That that wasn't what I thought you were gonna transition to, but yeah, we can talk football because
Yeah, it's a little bit. It's all Ohio. We'll talk about
yeah,
Ohio sports. And
and since Cincinnati is still in, is Ohio. So
yeah, you've got some choices coming up here this weekend, and as far as if you play the do the betting and stuff like that, and I'm scared to death. The simple fact is that if Cincinnati wins and the Rams win, you could see Cincinnati and the Rams in the Super Bowl. On the other hand, you could see KC and the Vikings, or you could see the Vikings at Cincinnati, or play with the Vikings in Cincinnati, or KC and San Francisco. Very interesting choices here. Was it? Yeah. Am I right? We got the Vikings, or do we?
no,
I know there's
not,
4 left. You got.
It's San Francisco versus. Oh, who are they?
Let me look it up. I know it's San Francisco. I know it's
Cincinnati.
Kansas City.
Yeah, and then
Who's
I'm
the
trying
fourth?
to
Is the
think.
fourth one the Vikings?
No, they weren't even in the playoffs. I'm trying to
Packers.
think because
Is it the Packers?
no, San Francisco beat the Packers.
Okay, I'm getting the internet up here somehow.
Oh, it's who beat Tampa? It was L.A. Rams.
Yeah, it's the Rams,
Yeah, the Rams and
Kansas City,
San Francisco.
and San Francisco.
Then Kansas City versus Cincinnati.
Yeah, so it's the Rams and Frisco. One of those 2 teams is going to end up in the Super Bowl. And on the other side, you're either going to have Kansas City or Cincinnati.
I believe it's going to be the Rams versus. It's a coin toss with the AFC, but the NFC I think is definitely the Rams.
I don't know. I think Kansas City's got enough to probably pull that out. I don't know. The winner of the San Francisco and Rams game, that's going to be one shootout, drag-out fight if I'm seeing this correctly. Which you're going to have you got with the Rams, you've got that Cooper Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you got our Ohio Buckeye or Ohio Browns team
Cast off
and favorite OBJ,
Oh,
who still doesn't know where in the hell he's at on the field most of the time.
mm-hmm.
We won't go there.
But he seemed to be successful. He's had like 7 touchdowns.
It's just the system he was in. He could have done that here, but the system wasn't built for him.
So the question is, look at what happened with Detroit, or the Rams trading Goff to Detroit. Detroit's GM was in LA. Now the former VP of football operations in Cleveland is the GM in Minnesota. So could you see that guy, I forget his name, trying to trade for Baker Mayfield, trade Kirk Cousins here, get Baker Mayfield there?
I don't want Cousins. Sorry. We'd be better off with Baker Mayfield.
People were saying that in LA when they traded for Stafford.
No. I would keep Baker. I watched Cousins play. Is that who we were talking about?
Yeah.
I've watched him play, and that is a flat quarterback. No, I don't want him. We need somebody in Cleveland that will actually stand tall and actually do what he's supposed to do. The trouble with Baker is he's about 2 inches too short.
Mm-hmm.
And his whole field of vision is he's not able to see the whole thing.
So, hold on. If I could find this article, one of the local columnists had a article saying the Browns should consider all the quarterbacks that are out there. And if I could find this list, tell me who you would take and who you wouldn't.
All right.
Let's see. Russell Wilson. Not going to happen, but for fun. Oh, dang, it's a flippin' paywall thing. I hate that the plain dealer now makes you pay for all their content.
I don't pay for it.
Well, for
the most interesting of the ones I've been seeing
Derek Carr
is probably Deshaun. Was it Watson?
Watson, yeah. Yeah,
I think that might be a decent swap.
But he has to get his legal issues cleared up.
You had that with Kareem Hunt here. Oh, look at how that turned out.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Sometimes you just got to take a chance, and I think that would be. I'd give him a chance. I think he'd be better than what we've got.
But
I keep hearing these guys are talking about how at least he's better than what you got. Well, it doesn't take a whole lot.
yeah.
But the thing of it is, when you bring that person in here, is he going to fit into the system? Is he going to take and fit into the top realm like that?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to do what he's supposed to do? And what are you going to put around him? Right now, I'm more concerned as far as the Browns are concerned. Mayfield's going to be here another year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about after that because of the fact that he's, when they start getting injured like that, the injuries just don't never stop. And I'm afraid of that. But, he's guaranteed $18 million either way, play or not. And they're not going to just whitewash $18 million. Not going to happen.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can pretty much plan on him being here. What my concern is that Landry is due a $15 million bonus, and I don't know that he's going to get it. So he's probably not going to be here.
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think he wants to be here after what happened with Odell. I
the
don't think he wants to be here.
the other thing is, what are you going to do to replace him? Now I've heard that they're looking at Olave, Ohio State's Olave.
Yeah, don't want him.
What do you mean you don't want him?
I'd take
That's one of the
Wilson.
best receivers in the flipping.
I would take
in the
Wilson.
draft.
I would take Wilson 10 times over Olave. I I think he's gonna be an average slot receiver in the league. I don't think Olave is gonna be a number one type wide receiver.
Well, I'll be here when you eat your words.
Eh. Wilson's gonna be better, and I think he's higher ranked too. He had way better statistics than Olave.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But that's one of the big concerns for me. The other big concern is on defense for the Browns, and that's they need to take, and no matter what the rumors are, they need to bring Jadeveon Clowney back here. They need to put him back. I think that is probably one of the best defensive decisions they've made in a long time, and they need to keep him here. They need to get off their damn wallet and pay the guy. Yeah, that's not just rhetoric or opinion here.
But is
they
it
need to
worth
do
it? Because he played great, but he was out a lot, and there was a couple of games that he was out.
When he played, he was very effective.
But there were a couple games that he was out that he really could have played.
Yeah, I still think they
And
need him.
we've talked about that. You know.
I still think they need him. Otherwise, they're going to have to replace him with something number 1 or 2.
And then you got, you're going to need 2 defensive tackles with Malik McDowell screwing up like he did, if you saw that.
Yeah, you're going to have to take in. There's another
then
one that I saw was actually
Jackson.
Yeah,
Jack was 1-year contract that they signed. 1 year veterans minimum, I think.
So
But
they're going to have to do some stuff with that, I'm afraid, and I don't know what that's going to turn out at. And then we need to. There's going to be some front office stuff that's got to be addressed. They already are having to replace one of the offensive coordinators, I think, or offensive coaches, was it? The guy ended up. It was on Andrew Barry's assistant.
oh no, he was vice president. Yeah, the vice president of football operations.
Yeah, he's actually going to be gone.
He's the new general manager in Minnesota. That's why the whole
So who are you going to
Kirk
get?
Cousins.
Who are you going to
for-
get to replace him? And as far as Kurt Cousins goes, no thanks.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. They'll promote some. There's a guy named Glenn Cook who's also been. He's like head of scouting or something. He's been interviewed for jobs. I don't know if he has a legitimate chance or with the whole Rooney rule that they have. I don't know if he's just being interviewed because of the minorities side of being a minority side of things, or what. But that's a name to watch if he doesn't get a GM job somewhere, that he'll be promoted to that position.
The other thing that I want to see is, I want to see what they can do in the draft this year and free agency. That's going to give everybody a look on what might happen. The other thing sports-wise that I want to cover before we jump out of here, as far as the sports topic goes, what about them Cavaliers? A game and a half out of the Eastern lead. You believe that?
Yeah. Finally, Kobe Altman actually looked smart with a draft pick. I think so far Mowgli has been the best guy out of this draft. Best young guy out of this draft.
I was watching the news at 6 o'clock, and they had Kevin Love on there. And he says, we're all just sitting there loving this because nobody ever expected us to be here. And he says, I got news for y'all. We're coming at you. We're coming for you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised by Garland. I didn't think he was going to be that great, but he's been one of the best players on this team. Like, he was just, I think he was just a second round pick, or like an extra first round pick.
All right.
But he's been amazing.
Who's going to the Super Bowl? You got 4 teams. Who's going?
Let's say Cincy versus the Rams.
I've had that feeling for the last couple of weeks as I've watched the last. I always like the playoff games almost more than I do the Super Bowl because that's where they play the hardest. You're playing to get somewhere. And those games last Saturday and Sunday were just flipping out of this world.
That was probably one of the best weekends ever of football.
Everything came down to the last 10 seconds or so, or ended up in overtime. And you just knew when they went into overtime, the first person or the first team that got the ball was going to win. And a couple of upsets, but then again, that's what it is. I expected more out of, was it Buffalo?
Yeah. Buffalo
tried to give that game away, and then they ended up doing it. Yeah, they played a good game, but it's you can't make mistakes. The way, especially now that you're in the you're in this round of the playoffs. You made it to this round of the playoffs because you're good, and you should be playing good ball, not jumping off sides, not taunting penalties, and crap like that. That's just wrong.
It's just maturity, and you act like you've been there.
Exactly, and I think the one that, although I have to admit, the game out there with Kansas City, and who did they play?
Buffalo.
Okay, Kansas City and Buffalo, Josh Allen. Allen scores a touchdown in 52 seconds. Gets the ball, scores in 52 seconds. Very next series, Mahomes, my homeboy, does it in 48. It was like it was a duel.
Yeah.
Bang, bang, that was it. And as far as my feelings on this going forward, I would have liked to seen Buffalo win. I would have liked to seen Tennessee win. But it is what it is. I don't know that Cincinnati's going to. If Cincinnati makes it out of there, they'll do a pretty decent job in the Super Bowl if they make it that far. I'd almost like to see San Francisco get into there too. I've always liked that team, but we'll see what happens as we play it off. Anyway, we've covered the Cavs. We've covered the
NFL.
NFL.
And I just want to thank anybody listening. I see we have a new viewer on the Facebook feed who's been commenting. Let me see the name. Chuck. So thank you for listening, Chuck. And everybody else listening. If we do have time, let's get into the internet radio thing.
Yeah, that's Chuck Martin. I just looked at that. Evening, Chuck. Good to see you. And he's kind of a friend of the station, but he's probably going to end up doing his own podcasting here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've been in negotiations, as they say. So good to see you, Chuck. You're welcome. Well, always welcome here. Anyway, let's slide into the other topic now that we've got that about burn up. And let's see, what are we going to do here?
Okay,
you
so
wanna introduce
we are going to what is internet radio? So we'll play
Sure.
that video, and then
You've got two of them. You've got the. Let me see what they are here. You've got internet and radio explained, and you've got the podcast and internet radio.
oh, let's do podcast versus internet radio first.
Okay, we can do that.
And then
All right, we will go ahead and start the video. You're listening to the Crooked River Radio Network, and yeah, I'm still not used to this. Buckeye Time. That's it. See you all in a bit.
On demand. So you can go to any one of my shows and see all the past episodes. Hello, everyone. Chris Curran here again from Fractal Recording. And the question here is, what's the difference between a podcast and internet radio? And, okay, I just did a video, what is a podcast? And that's kind of applicable here, because a podcast is some sort of a show or a series of episodes. So it has episodes, people can subscribe to it, and it can be audio or video or a PDF, and it's syndicated through the web, meaning it's distributed through the internet. Now, that's and another way to understand podcasting is like it's kind of like audio on demand. So you can go to any one of my shows and see all the past episodes going back as far as I've been doing them, and you can hear any one of them at any time. So it's actually one of the benefits of podcasting is that it's just there whenever the listener wants to hear it. Okay, so that's podcasting. And now internet radio is, well, there's a couple different kinds of internet radio, but the basic idea is that it's streaming live. So it's being broadcast right now, it's streaming through the internet, and you're hearing it either through an app or a web page or something like that. Now, internet radio can be music, it can be talk, it can be a combination of both, it can be anything audio, right? So now, I'm not going to talk about the copyright issues with internet radio when it comes to music. If you broadcast anyone's songs, you have to pay them royalties, basically copyright fees, if you want to call it that, because you can't just play people's music for nothing, because that's their product, right? So leaving that aside, if you just want to think of internet radio as streaming live, and once, let's say it's an hour show that is streamed live, after the 1 hour show is over, that's it. There's no more show. There's no way to hear it. You can't hear it anymore. The hour show is done. Whereas podcasting is recorded and posted online, so that hour show is always there. People can go hear that show whenever they want to hear it. Just a quick note, I do one of my shows, the Social Media Unscrambled show. We actually do it live. We broadcast it live as sort of like internet radio, but we also record it locally, and then I upload it online. So we do it live internet radio style, but we also do it podcast style as well. So it's there. It's sort of like archived online, so people can hear it whenever they want to. Even if it's 5 years from now, that show will still be there and people can still access that content. So there's, pros and cons to both doing it live and podcasting it. But like I said, I do both. You might want to do one or the other. And if you have any questions about what you should do or what your options are, feel free to contact me through our website, which is fractalrecording.com. Yep. So that's it. See ya.
Okay.
And we are back on Buckeye Time because I just completely muted myself right in the middle of saying that. So we are live back here. We have a second video, kind of
Let's talk about
explaining.
this one first. What's a podcast?
Okay. To me, it's something that is recorded, not live. Like, for example, this is a radio show that you can listen back to on a podcast, or like on a, well, I guess on a podcast, on a recorded version. But where I differ internet radio is a podcast can be taken or recorded at any time and put out. Internet radio is on a stricter, well, most of the time, if you have advertisements that you have to fit in the hour or whatever, you're on a stricter schedule where you have the content and then that you plan for the show, and then you also have to fit in everything in a certain time window. Internet radio is more planned.
I'm not sure I agree with you there. As far as a podcast is concerned, there's three basic parts that you got to come up with. You got to come up with staff. You got to come up with your voices for it, which you and I are.
Yep.
You have to normally come up with a topic 2, 3, 4, and depending on what kind of, if you're going to do a podcast that's topical. Now, a lot of people do these because they tend to get more hits, and if they know their subject and it's a subject everybody wants to talk about, kind of similar to if I wanted to do a podcast on TikTok, I take and get me some TikTok videos and say this is how you do it, and this is where you do it, and this is what you do, what you get when you're done, and this is what you don't get when you're done. No, you cover the gambit of the
as you get distracted by the flipping colors, but
the whole thing
I
comes
get
down
what
to
you're saying
it's a topical. The show is actually topical.
Yeah.
More of these podcasts are getting recorded live, as far as not only through audio but for video. And to be honest about it, the video gets a lot more watched than the audio does. Now, mind you, we do podcasts on Spreaker, and I get, I probably had, the last I looked in 2.5 years, we've had about 3,200 downloads. Not too bad, considering the range of shows that we carry and stuff like that. Could be better, could be a lot worse.
Yeah.
But
definitely. I mean,
basically, that podcasting has its own genre, and it has its own listeners. Internet radio and live shows like this has their own genre, and more or less, there's people that will listen to us that listen to podcasts. There's also people that listen to us because we're as good as any TV show out there. You know,
Yeah.
depending on what you've got. And the fact is, the media now is getting to the point where you can
It's so slanted. Oh, sorry.
you can actually make yourself a lot more available on different platforms and that.
Oh.
So the world is wide open to you. I know over here we use this thing called Restream. That is that there's a possibility I could go out to 30 different platforms. I don't do that many. I think we've got 6 or 8. We actually broadcast on our Crooked River website, and that actually is getting a little bit more popular than I thought it would.
Mm-hmm.
But there again, all this stuff is you have to pay for. You know, you get what you pay for. The restream costs money to restream it. The website stuff is about $25 a month. The only thing that's really free per se is Twitter and Facebook. But there are different things that you have to, and the whole big thing on the podcasting front is you have to have a good looking product. I mean,
yeah.
How long do you think it took us? Almost 2 years to get this. To get this station's podcasts to look like what you're seeing right now.
Wow, what we're seeing kind of right now
flashing.
Yeah, which who knows why it's doing that? But welcome to technology when it doesn't want to.
The thing of it is, you have to have a product that really looks good, and it has to be something people want to listen to and watch. Our Sunday night show, that you know, a lot of times we have issues. We had some Sunday night. I was so ticked off at Pizza Hut, I wanted to go burn her building down, but I didn't.
I remember I had sent one of the episodes of Hashtags in Football off to a former producer at a local radio station to get his opinion on it. And he was impressed by all the production work. One of the biggest things he said, he's like, the imaging is amazing for you guys.
And that's why I've done that, and that's why we've got the watchers that we do. You know, as far as when we play videos here, I think you're not going to see them videos any better anywhere else. I'd love to. One of these days, I'm going to take and put us on live stream, and I'm going to stream it to my TV so I can see what it actually looks, what I look like on television. Here, it's a different story, and I can see it on the phone. Okay, you know. But you know, as far as podcasting goes, that's what it is. It's an actual show. It's an.
By chance, did you have a chance to run those new Windows updates?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I'm not running. You mean for 11?
I don't know what it is, not what I have, but there was.
You're going to be forced to run those pretty soon if you're still on 10.
I think I'm on 11. But yeah.
No. Can you move if you can't move your taskbar, you're on 11. But that's as far as that's a podcast is actually what your it's the actual show that goes on an internet station like that. Now we here on the other hand, and we're going to go into this. Let's take and run this other clip, and then we'll talk about what an internet radio station actually is and does. And
yeah, because we both can attest to what that is.
All right, let's.
Okay.
Let me find it here. We will be back on the other side of this. You're listening to the Crooked River Radio Network, a radio station on the internet, and you're listening to Buckeye Time. We'll be right back.
Hello, this is James Mulvaney, and today I would like to talk to you about internet radio. Now, I'm actually an expert on the subject, well, a bit of an expert anyway. I've been working in internet radio for probably coming up to about 7 years now, and it's not as complex as you'd imagine. Now, maybe you're interested in listening to internet radio stations, or maybe you're interested in actually starting your own internet radio station. Either way, I hope this guide is going to explain a couple of the basics to you and sort of maybe build up your knowledge on the subject a little bit. So let's get started with the fundamental question: what is internet radio? Well, traditional radio, which obviously goes back years and years and years, is sent via the air. So it's transmitted from a physical broadcasting tower over the air in kind of radio waves, and obviously then you'll have a radio tuner in your house where you can tune into a certain frequency and actually listen to the station which is being broadcast over the air. Well, internet radio is a little bit different, as it's broadcast via the internet, which kind of means two things. Firstly, it's digital, which means there's never ever any interference. The sound quality is always perfect. It's also available anywhere in the world. Okay, so you don't have to be within the range of the broadcast tower as you would with the traditional radio. It's worldwide. Wherever you've got an internet connection, you can actually tune in to internet radio stations, even if they're on the other side of the world. Now, there's hundreds of thousands of radio stations already online, and these range from kind of commercial radio stations through to people DJing from their bedrooms, through to people running professional radio stations which aren't on, they're not broadcasting offline, they're completely online stations. And then there's also maybe your local radio stations are probably broadcasting online as well as having their traditional radio feed going via the air. And of course, with all of these thousands of different radio stations, it attracts absolutely millions and millions of people who are tuning into these stations on a daily basis. But the thing is, over the past couple of years, internet radio has really started to go beyond the desktop PC. Obviously, more and more mediums are web connected, even so far as saying people's fridges are being connected to the internet, all sorts of crazy things like that. Mobile devices, of course, have really taken off over the past year or so. You can tune into internet radio on your iPhone, on your BlackBerry, if you've got a Google Android phone, whatever you've got. If you've got the internet on your phone, chances are you'll be able to either download an application to go through different radio stations like a directory, or you'll be able to actually listen into them from your phone wherever you are, at the time. There's also lots and lots of Wi-Fi hotspots everywhere, in cafes all around town, and obviously most people at home now have got a Wi-Fi connection, which boasts a great kind of thing because you can actually buy hardware radio sets now, where instead of actually tuning in to traditional radio stations, broadcasting on FM, they actually connect your Wi-Fi network and they can tune into internet radio stations via your internet connection just using Wi-Fi. And you can literally use these just like you'd use a normal radio set, flick through all the stations. But the great thing about this is there's hundreds and hundreds, and sometimes even thousands of different stations to choose from. So internet radio is really going beyond the desktop PC now. It's not just something where you can sit at your computer and listen. You can be pretty much anywhere and be listening to internet radio. So I want to just take you through how it works. There's three fundamental stages. First of all, there's the actual live broadcast. Obviously, I'm speaking to you now, and this voice is going into my microphone, down a cable, and into my computer, and it's being recorded on the computer. In a very similar way, where with a kind of an internet radio station, the broadcast is going down the wire into the computer, and then it's being transmitted from the computer out to something called a server, which acts a bit like a transmitter tower. Okay, so it powers the actual radio feed out to all of the listeners. All right, so there's three steps there. There's first of all the live broadcast, which is obviously sent to the server, which is the transmitter tower for the internet, if you like, and that in turn then sends the broadcast out to all the people who want to tune in from either their desktop PCs, maybe they've got Apple Macs, their iPhones, Blackberries, Wi-Fi radio sets, whatever. So if you've not listened to an internet radio station before, or perhaps you want to listen to a few more, maybe you've only heard a couple, here's some great places where you can actually find a huge variety of great internet radio stations.
CrookedRiverRadio.com.
Firstly, iTunes and Windows Media Player. These are both
radio.
Common desktop players. Chances are you'll either be using Windows on your computer or you'll be using Apple OS X. Both of these platforms have obviously got iTunes, and Windows obviously comes with Windows Media Player, and both of these pieces of software have vast radio station directories with huge lists of stations to choose from in pretty much every genre you can imagine. Another great website you can visit is shoutcast.com. Now, Shoutcast, again, is basically a radio station directory, and it's also software which you can use to broadcast to radio, and I'm going to get onto that in a minute. But there's a massive list of stations. You can listen to pretty much anything you want via shoutcast.com. There's just so many stations with thousands and thousands of people tuning in at the same time. It's absolutely fantastic. Another great place to go and find loads of different radio stations is a website called Radiotower.com. Now, these guys have got, I think it's about 6,000 different radio stations to choose from. Again, an absolute vast quantity of people tuning in and people browsing the site, looking for radio stations, and some really good stations on there too. Perhaps you fancy something a little bit different. Maybe you're bored of listening to the same old thing off your local radio station, and you want to spread your wings a bit and tune into some different radio stations, or maybe elsewhere in the world or in a different part of the country, or specific to a genre of music that you like. All of these websites and obviously media players have got something for you, I guarantee. So check them out and have a listen to some different stations and see what you think. I get asked a lot of the time, can anyone broadcast online? Do you have to have a special radio station set up? Do you have to be a radio professional, or have a massive multi-million-dollar or pound radio station going to set up a broadcast online? Well, no, actually, anyone can actually broadcast online. You can even broadcast, as I said earlier, from your bedroom at home. Can be that easy. So if you fancy trying your hand at internet radio, maybe you'd like to start up your own broadcast, either just to a few of your mates, or perhaps you'd like to do something a little bit more serious, we've got a great guide and a really in-depth presentation to give you away for free. All you have to do is head on over to our website, www.easyinternetradio.com. Go and check it out and watch the presentation. I'm sure you'll like it. So hopefully this has proved very useful for you today. Hopefully you've gained something from this. Maybe you're just interested in tuning into some great radio stations. I've just given you some fantastic links to do so. Or maybe you'd actually like to go ahead and start a radio station yourself, in which case head on over to easyinternetradio.com and check it out. Thanks for listening, and I'll speak to you again very soon. Bye for now.
Yeah. This guy, I've actually talked to that guy. His name's James Mulvaney. I don't know if he said that in the clip. But he used to run a site, which I've told you about, radio.co.
Oh, yeah.
I think that one that he gave, I think that's just a rebrand of radio.co. But he was the one who started radio.co. So I still get emails from him all the time, like daily, about internet radio.
That was a pretty good article on, and if you ever considered doing a podcast, get a hold of me. I'll help you get lined up. We'll get you on. We'll get you broadcasting it, recording it, whatever you need to do. And we'll even carry it here live if you want us to, if we can get that arranged. As far as the internet radio station stuff is concerned, the biggest concern on running 24/7 like we do here is the licensing for the music.
Exactly.
And we carry, we're on actually Live 365. That's our main. That's our main place.
Server.
And they cover the licensing and everything like that, so we have no problem with that. The nice thing about doing a 24/7 station like this, though, is that you have a lot of opportunities to not only play the music that you like to hear, but you can actually do the shows and everything, and you can play the shows live. And that gives you another genre for everybody to be able to look at, and be able to hear you. I know a lot of times people just tune in for the music, and I got a fairly good library of it. We play close to 3,000 songs, I think. I don't remember. I can look that up easy enough. We do, we have a number of songs. And the library is at 1,854. Is that right? Yeah, 1,854 songs is in our library.
Even with the podcasts that you run, there's such a variety of, types of podcasts. You have this show, which we don't exactly have a single format, but like we kind of touch on everything. You have Four Guys on Sports. I'll just do the promos now. Saturday morning from 11 to noon. Obviously, you can tell listeners that's a sports show. Radioactive, which is a show just giving everybody. I'm just going by how you have it in the description on Facebook. Everybody the perspective of the world from ham radio operators. And then you have World According to Elmer. Oh, wait. Radioactive is Sunday night, 7 to 9. Then World According to Elmer Tuesdays, 7 to 8. And I just realized I'm not on camera anymore. And that is a complete ham radio only show. So anybody interested in ham radio, tune in. Well, please
Even
tune
if
in
you're
to
not
all the
interested
shows.
in it, it's
But-
good listening.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I've learned so much listening to you guys.
Now,
And I'm not just saying that because I'm not just sucking up to you.
wipe your nose, Erik.
I get it.
The thing with the podcasts, as I said, is that you have to have if you have the topics and that people want to listen to, they're gonna tune in. They're gonna find you. As far as the way some of our podcasts have procreated, evolved. Radioactive actually was the first show I ever did, but it was called Ham Radio Heaven when I started it, and it was supposed to be the World According to Elmer. It was supposed to be the same format, but what ended up happening is it got hard for me to do it because I only had me there. I ended up asking for some help, and in the help aspect of it, I had two other guys come in. That was John and Dale, and both of those guys are ham radio operators, and they're pretty much, if I need any assistance with anything, you three are the first ones I call. The thing with that ham radio thing, though, with the radioactive, it was actually supposed to be all ham radio related. It's ham radio and technology. Thank you, dear. But as it evolved, I decided that it was too narrow of a topic, and that's what the decision as a host that you got to make as you take and listen to the stuff, listen to your podcast and stuff back, which most of us do. You decide, well, I could have done a little bit better, but maybe we're just a little. How am I going to come up with topics for the next week that we haven't talked about yet? And as you go through the years, you're doing this constantly. But once you get into the, that's where Radioactive turned out different than the other ones, because I decided to change the theme instead of being all amateur radio related, which has its own niche, but it's not that great. I wanted people to see I wanted to see that I'm a human being, not just an amateur radio operator. I wanted them to see that I have thoughts on politics. I have thoughts on stuff that's going on in the world. I have thoughts on craziness. I can joke with the best of them. And
You
that's
know,
how that show evolved.
I mean, and we kind of had to do that with this show too. Like, when it was hashtags in football, we were just talking football, and I knew that's just kind of a niche thing, because I don't really follow any of the
Yeah,
other
what happens
sports,
when
so
football's over?
yeah. So I'm like, what are we gonna do when football's over? Because I don't really follow hockey. Baseball's in a lockout. I couldn't care less about basketball. I mean,
Oh,
other than the
like the
little bit of
Cavs.
highlights I watch on the morning news, I don't really watch Cavs games because technically, or usually when I watch, they're losing. I turn the game off. They end up taking the lead and winning. So I might as well not watch because I'm better luck to the team when I'm not watching. So, but I had to do that with this show, I and then the whole what you said about getting to for the uh, listeners to get to know you, and see that you had opinions and whatever too. Today's show, I figured the thought behind today's show was open up to something that um I share with a lot of people, but I think the listeners, the more the people can relate to hosts, the more that you're gonna get listeners.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think that. I think that too.
I've heard big time people that I know we both listen to say that all the time.
You gotta have the listeners.
Hmm.
Anyway, let's
Wrap it up.
wrap it up. I think
Yeah.
we're
I,
5 minutes over as it is, and I see Young Sheldon over there, which is my favorite television show ever.
well, okay. So thank you for listening, everybody.
Yeah,
Hope you tune in next week. This has been Buckeye Time. So next week, 6:30, roughly to 8. Hopefully not over, but
if it
tune in
is, it
next
is.
week. What?
If it does, it does.
Okay. Um, and yeah, let's get out before this just starts flashing and makes me sick. Um, so have a good night,
What are you
everybody.
doing over there, Eric?
Yeah, that's a good. I don't know why it's doing that.
All right, we will see y'all next week. Have
Okay.
a blessed
Okay.
week, and we will see
Yeah.
you next Thursday night at 6:30. 7:30,
Okay.
y'all.
But
Uh-oh. So much for the show ending.
well, just ramble for.
Let's talk a minute here until I find something
Okay.
else to play on
So,
the way out.
but I guess I could also touch on something else that until Pat shuts me up, which he's good at. Um, no, I'm joking. But something, if any of my Facebook friends are listening, something I shared yesterday. Um, uh, so everybody knows that I have everybody who listens knows I have the visual impairment. Well, I also have autism, and uh, just the ways it affects me, a big way is the social side of things. I like conversation wise, and I think anybody who might listen to Radioactive um, can tell this and maybe this show a little bit. I struggle when it comes to sometimes cutting people off, and it's not because I'm trying to be rude. I don't know if Pat, you've ever kind of caught on to this,
Oh yeah.
but
Oh yeah.
um,
Yeah.
because I can't tell the subtle pauses. If when somebody subtly pauses it, like breath in the middle of a sentence, if they're done or they're still talking.
Yeah.
And I know it might annoy people, but you know, I don't do it to be a jerk, but it's because I don't pick up on little social cues
Yeah.
that
Well, that's the way of that's the way of life. You'll learn that eventually. Anyway, we can wrap it up now. I think I got a song that'll play. Y'all have a
Okay.
good week.